One of my projects in college that I did like my senior thesis on was about putting art in places that we wouldn't think to see it. That's how I learned the Bible, was through song. I learned scripture through music, through songs. Enaltece nuestra causa para que yo te revele. Enaltece nuestra causa para que yo te revele los misterios de mi grandeza y así brillas con mi luz. Los misterios de mi grandeza con la luz de la eternidad. At 15, I was able to sing in the choir, in the church choir. And then I remember looking up, because in the Catholic Church, there's a lot of that stained glass window. So there was a stained glass window that said, singing is like praying twice. And so I just thought, like, awesome. And then I thought, if I'm going to help people, they're going to be praying twice if they sing. So I took that very seriously. I took that as this was my opportunity to serve God's people. And so at 15, I remember deciding that I wanted to live a life of service. Oye, oye, el compasivo, oh alaba. Oye, oye, el incomparable, oh alaba. Oye, oye, el poderoso, oh alaba.
Enaltece nuestra causa para que yo te revele. Enaltece nuestra causa para que yo te revele los misterios de mi grandeza y así brille con mi luz. Los misterios de mi grandeza con la luz de la eternidad. Oye, oye, el más glorioso. Oh, alaba. Oye, oye, el compasivo. Oh, alaba. Oye, oye, el incomparable. Oh, alaba.
My name is Banny Williams. I'm a human resources manager. I live in Irvine, California. In high school, I got really interested in anthropology, just learning about people, and I decided to make my major anthropology. At some point, I ended up also liking art and getting involved in art, and I changed my major and ended up with a minor in anthropology, but my main degree is in studio art. I remember being in kindergarten, and we had done music with our kindergarten teacher, and I remember declaring at that time that I was going to be a singer and an artist because I liked those things so much. So I still to this day look back and I'm like, yeah, I accomplished that. My parents were divorcing, and there was a need for one of my brothers, my youngest, to kind of move out of that environment. And my sister, that was 1 year older, Marie, and we were still going to college. And so he came to live with us here in Irvine. So at some point I made that as a priority, that I was going to make sure that he got through whatever he needed. And when I look back, I realized, yeah, that was me, still wanting to serve and provide something for someone. So I was born in the Los Angeles area in Montebello. And so I have 4 sisters and 3 brothers. My dad was raised in a Mormon family and my mother in a Catholic family. Both are of Mexican descent. My mom's religion, or my mom wanted us to be raised Catholic. So we were raised Catholic, all 8 of us. And my dad was really good about taking when we went to Mass or we went to services and got back. And when we would come home, my dad would always ask us what we learned. What did we get out of the liturgy, or what the message in the Mass and what the priest was saying? And how would we implement that throughout the week or throughout our lives? So we grew up really learning, or with that fire of wanting to learn more, being curious, and then putting it outside, not just keeping it within that hour, that this was Mass, this is what we were going to do, and that was like it. I felt it was important. It was something that to this day I was glad for. Around 2008, 2009, there was the crash, the mortgage crash. And so my company started laying off, and we started outsourcing or offshoring. So I had this really great opportunity to start training and traveling. I was able to travel to India and help set that team up. People around me at the time at that company were kind of afraid, like, oh my God, they're taking my job, I can't believe this. And I understand that, because there's a little part of you that feels like, what am I gonna do? I don't have a job in a couple of months, oh my goodness. But I thought, if we really want world peace, if we really want this, like, everybody to get along, this is what it might have to take. We may have to give something up because it's going to be better. And I saw and understood how some of the life it was over there for the employees that, or the team that I was training. And I got their stories, and I realized I don't mind doing that. I remember during my lunch hour for about a year and a half, I would go to the chapel at the local parish, St. John Newman. I used to sing there in the choir, and I would go to the chapel during that time and spend it with Jesus and pray and ask how I could be like him to his people, and how can I love like him? How can I know his love and be God's love to the people I met? And so I did that for about a year and a half. Then one of the ladies I sang in the church with, or sang in the choir with, one of my friends said, hey, I think you'll like this meeting on Friday if you want to come. It was my birthday. And so I had decided that year I wanted to do something spiritual. And so I said, okay, I'm going to go to this. And she had said it was a spiritual. She didn't tell me anything about the Baha'i faith at the time. She didn't really share too much. So I go in, I walk in, and Alex Gottdank is the speaker. He had written a book at the time, Preparing for Christ's New Name. And I'm just there taking notes, like, okay. And I remember someone telling me right before I went, like, you know, you need to be careful not to be swayed away from the Catholic faith and I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. This is gonna be something for my spiritual growth, and I'm taking it as a supplement. I remember there was this moment when he's talking about Baha'u'llah in Siachal, where he gets two chairs and he sits down and he shows us how Baha'u'llah was chained. And there was this like aha moment. And I thought of Jesus being persecuted with the crown of thorns and being, the story of how he had been beaten and he was treated and had to take the the cross. And it just hit like, I get it. Yes, I believe. Like, I just believe. And I understood, and I started to like see the connection of all the manifestations kind of lined up. And like, oh wow, this is like definitely a supplement, right? Like, definitely supplemented my life. When I look back, and I always think like that was the gift I got from Jesus, praying to him, because I was devoted and I went, and he prepared me to see that, oh, if I wanted to really be his love, then I felt like he was saying, let me tell you about Baha'u'llah. And I remember just thinking like, this is it. I was born on Easter. So Easter morning is the resurrection, and Christians and Catholic Christians celebrated Easter. They celebrate it as the resurrection where Jesus rose from the dead. And so I've always had this connection to him. Like, I was born on that day, and like, this is when the faith started, kind of thing. That's why I was always so devoted and wanting to be him, because I felt like if I was born on that day, then I'm a servant. I should be his servant, as well as knowing that, you know, I have a gift that I can use. I just feel like that was a gift that he gave me, like a reward for being devoted for that time and going to the chapel and praying. That was the biggest, gift he could give me, was like, here's Baha'u'llah. He'll show you how to be like me on this world. So the Kitab-i-Yagan is the book of certitude, and I remember it really solidifying for me the Baha'i faith, and that this was something of God, and I had a better understanding of the relationship of the religions from this book, and also the peace that I wouldn't necessarily be betraying Jesus. So book 1 is about life and death, and just recognizing and understanding your spiritual life and what your soul is, and in essence how we can never really know. But also, I think what I got out of it was what your impact is on the world, truly, where you're connected, and how we are one, and how we are all connected, and how important it is as a soul in this world, and this being the material world, us just developing, just growing, and that there's many worlds are just beyond this life. In 2009 was when I learned about it and realized, oh yeah, and believed. But it still took some years, because there was still that little bit of, am I going to betray Jesus? Am I going to? And I had also met the man who was going to be my husband at that time. And he did not have, he had a spiritual life that was more, that was not centered or connected to any type of religion. We got married, and I really focused. I was still serving. I was fortunate enough to meet Dr. Ray Zimmerman, who introduced me to a lot of Baha'i music. I started going to some devotionals. I was trying to figure out, well, how do I fit in? How am I really going to serve? So I did a lot of that kind of figuring. So in meeting him and seeing the songs, there were a couple songs that I learned a cappella, and then I also brought some of my Catholic hymns, the ones I used to sing in church, and I started seeing them with a Baha'i eye and realized oh, it's the same message. I felt like, okay, yeah, okay, I fit in now. I'm starting to fit in. You know, with my marriage, I remember reading something where Baha'u'llah had said, like, if religion becomes a thing of disunity, to forget religion and focus on the unity part. And so I thought, okay, cool. Like, I felt like there's no pressure. And when I was in the Catholic faith, I had been talking to some individuals, and they had said, oh, you know, now it's your turn. You can convert him to Catholicism. And I thought, well, that's really not my job. That's God's job. That's really between God and him. I remember them telling me, oh, then you must not love him. And I thought, I don't think it has to do with that. I just don't think it's my job. You know, God's the one who transforms. And I remember he always thinking, like, of all the faiths, you know, the Baha'i faith makes the most sense. I was driving to work one morning. I remember driving and just having this feeling, this thought in my head that it's time for you to declare. And so I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna declare. And so I'm driving, and then I was gonna call Mary Ann Purdue, my roommate, and I realized, oh, I should probably discuss that with my husband though. Like, I should probably let him know I'm planning. There's also certain aspects about being a Baha'i, about not drinking alcohol. And so I talked to him, and he was like, yeah, whatever you want to do, like, that's, you know, that's kind of your deal. And then I also talked to my mom, because I'm like, oh, let me tell her too. And she, being a Catholic, especially of Mexican descent, La Virgen de Guadalupe is very special to us, or to the faith. So she had asked me if, do the Baha'is believe in Mary, or, you know, respect Mary, the mother of Jesus? And I said, yeah. And she's like, okay, I'm okay with it then. I just remember thinking, okay, cool, I've got the blessings of this. So I called Mary Ann, and it was March 10th of 2017 that I signed my card and declared. With the Baha'i faith, my capacity to make connections, to serve people really grew, rather than just in the church. And because I like people so much, I really can use it anywhere. I can be of service to everyone and anyone now, in all aspects. It doesn't matter what happened in the past, as long as your heart is searching, the answer will come like a breeze.